Hey everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. If you know that reference, you go back a long way. Or you have people who show you quality television. Now, I have finally seen Spider-Man Brand New Day. And we are going to get into what I thought about it. And we're going to get into the spoilers. And I don't mean like the little spoilers, like the spoilers that everybody kind of already knows about and everybody's already kind of aware of. I mean, we're going to get into the meta of the spoilers. We're going to get into the grooves of the spoilers, if you will. We're going to get into the, dare I say, nitty-gritty of the spoilers, because I had a lot that I want to say about this. And it's very interesting because I think they did a great job, and I think it's a movie you should go see. And I don't know if it's as good as all the money it's making, but I think we've been starved so long for quality superhero movies that people are just lapping it up as if they were stranded in the desert and it's the first rain, or someone who's been starving and you give them a cheeseburger. They're just devouring it because it's the best thing we've gotten in a very, very, very long time. So let us get into it. First and foremost, one thing I didn't like, there was no sightings, no references, no even passing, I don't know, newspaper clips of J. Jonah Jameson. Why? He's one of the best characters.
You serious?
He's great. I love J.K. Simmons. He brings that character to life, and somehow he's also Omni-Man in the same suit. Super crossover idea there. Invincible, Spider-Man, J. Jonah Jameson is, in fact, Omni-Man. Anyway, he's great. And I know this movie, it doesn't make a lot of sense because Spider-Man has ingrained himself to the community. Spider-Man has been given the key to the city. Everybody seems to love Spider-Man. But it's New York City. There are going to be people who have different thoughts about Spider-Man. And I think having Jonah out there, even if it was just like a radio spot or something, would have been great. It would have been some sort of like contrast, you know? And, you know, I love that in the video games, because while he wasn't always there, you get the little like newsreel of him saying something that wasn't quite true, and then somebody like trumping it, or somebody like setting the record straight, and then he'd have to backtrack. Like, I thought that was all great. For them to put, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 minutes in of that, even not even 2 or 3 minutes, 30 seconds, or just acknowledge the character, I would have appreciated. But I'm nitpicking, okay? Now, going to get into the spoilers, and not that that wasn't already a spoiler, but super duper spoilers, right? So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, this is where you need to not watch any more of the video, because we're going to get into it. And I want to give you enough time to decide that you don't want to be spoiled at this point. So I'll give you a couple of seconds. I'm going to take a sip of my sparkling water here. Refreshing. Now, we're going to get into it. So here we go. 1, Jean Grey is in this film. Sadie Sink is Jean Grey. I think everybody knew that. I think that was the least kept secret in all of the world, right? And it makes sense, because when we see a preview where there's people talking to Spider-Man, where it's the same person talking to Spider-Man, but through different people, that is like telekinesis 101, right? Makes a lot of sense because, hey, Jean Grey, telepath. So Sadie Sink is in this. I don't know that I like the way they portrayed her character. Now, again, super spoilers, so warning you again. She's looking for her sister. Her sister was also a telepath. Her sister is, unfortunately, again, spoilers, not alive. But she doesn't know that, so she's looking for her. Now, I wondered how this contrasted with the comics. And in the comics, at least from my Google search, Jean did have a sister, but her sister was non-mutant. She did not have any powers. She was a muggle, if you will. And I thought it was interesting that they took the family link here and used that as Sadie Sink's, aka Jean Grey's, motivation. I honestly think it would have been cooler if they would have somehow found her alive and she would have gone off with her to upstate New York, ostensibly, we're assuming, to Professor X's school or to stumble upon Professor X, what have you, for the gifted. But they didn't go that route. I get it. We've got way too many characters to begin with, but I thought that could have been a cool offshoot if they would have had time. That said, they made her a killer. There's one part specifically where she's kind of taunting Spider-Man that, hey, I'm going to go get to MJ before you do. You better hurry. You better swing fast, Spider-Man. Swing as fast as you can. And she takes a guy who looks like I don't know if he's supposed to be like a construction worker or just like kind of a blue collar worker guy. He seems like he's in some sort of outfit or uniform, and she has him step in front of a car. Now, granted, maybe he just broke both of his legs and probably a hip and a few vertebrae, but still, we could make the jump that she killed the guy, which is a little like, do X-Men kill people? I mean, Wolverine, he kills people, but I don't know if that's the way you want to portray her just out of the gate. Like, I understand making her angry because she's looking for her sister, she's scared, but making her a killer just like that, I don't know. I'm a little on the fence about it. I don't think anybody's going to care long run, but it bothered me. It bothered me while I was sitting in the theater. I'm like, did she just kill that guy? Anyway. That said, there's a weird scene, and again, super spoilers, nitpicky, warning you again, where right after that, where she has the guy jump in front of the car, she ends up in a helicopter, not her, but possessing someone in a helicopter, and Spidey webs the helicopter up, and he uses that to get to MJ before Jean Grey can. Makes sense. I get it. He gets to Jean, not to Jean, excuse me. He gets to MJ, and he gets her to go with him. You saw that from the previews, and they end up on a roof at night. So some time has passed here, and Peter basically says who he is and that they knew each other, and they have this kiss, and magically MJ remembers who he is. It's like, oh my goodness, true love's first kiss and all that Disney BS, which is great because it's a Disney film at the end of the day, right? Well, turns out it's not MJ. It's Jean Grey possessing MJ. Now, I have no problem with this. I love the way they set it up. I love the reaction on Peter/Tom Holland's face. It was great. They both played it very, very well. But my question is, how the heck did Jean get to MJ if she was hung up in a helicopter and could only teleport so far? They make a point of saying she's got about like 30 feet that she can teleport. So she's up in this helicopter hundreds of feet away from anyone. They don't really explain how Jean got to MJ before Peter did, which I'll suspend disbelief. That's fine. I get it. It's a movie, but it would have been cool if they showed it like maybe as like a post-credit scene or something. I would have enjoyed that just to kind of like bring the continuity together, just to skosh, just a pinch, if you will. The next thing that I thought was really, really interesting is if you know the X-Men at all, they've got these collars that the anti-X-Men types try to put on them that are basically limiter collars. And basically, they, long and short, they take away their superpower. So if you put, one of the limiter collars on Cyclops, he can't shoot his optic blast. If you put it on Wolverine, I'm assuming he can't regenerate, etc., etc. Spider-Man, as he's going through this metamorphosis into a more mature spider, if you will, he's trying to limit that taking over because it's making him wake up hanging upside down through a bunch of webbing, and his apartment is trashed with webbing, and he doesn't remember how he got there. So he's trying to figure out a way to limit the spider side of him with the normal side of him, sort of, and balance out his powers. Well, in doing this, he's creating the limiter that is, I'm assuming, going to be used on the X-Men later on, which I just thought was really interesting. And I also thought was like a really cool, I don't know, like tie-in, because now if they want to have Spider-Man show up in the X-Men movie, or any of the movies really, they can. And it's like, wait, you're the one who created this? How could you? Like that sort of dynamic. And I think that's awesome. And, it kind of lends to, Peter Parker's a genius, and he's got all this technical knowledge. He's like I guess he's a Tony Stark without the billions, right? For lack of a better term. And I think it'll give them a good reason to like interact with each other. My humble opinion. Now, let's move on to the Hulk. Bruce Banner is in this. He's got this giant thing on his wrist, and it limits his ability to change into the Hulk. So he's gone from, Bruce Banner to Savage Hulk, where there's no stopping him, to the Endgame, like half Hulk, half Banner, right? And then now he's back to just normal Banner with the thing on his wrist. I really like what they did with the Hulk here, because we saw in the previews that he was going to go back to Savage Hulk, and we all love Savage Hulk, right? But I thought they were just going to gloss over the mid-tier Hulk, if you will. I don't want to say mid-tier, but the smart Hulk, the one that we get in Endgame. And when Sadie Sink takes him over and removes his wrist, dealy, his limiter, if you will, he turns into that smart Hulk. And so she's trying to break into a vault, and it's a whole thing, trying to get to the truth about her sister. And so Peter shows up, and he's not full on Savage Hulk yet. He's Smart Hulk. So from there, if you listen to the dialogue very closely, because there's kind of a lot going on in the scene because they keep cutting around. But Bruce finally says, something's wrong. Something broke. And what they suggested to us in Endgame was that he had somehow meshed the two, right? Like you said, the best of both worlds, the brains and the brawn of the Hulk. And Sadie Sink getting in there and messing with him has torn this barrier, this dam down, if you will. And he says, as he's beginning to change, something's wrong. I can't control it. I can't control it. And then we have the Savage Hulk come out. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was very nuanced and really a good way to explain why we're getting Savage Hulk again, as opposed to Smart Hulk. And it was subtle. It didn't take very much time, and it made a lot of sense. And now we can go forward with, obviously we're never getting a independent Hulk movie because of the rights, but hopefully he'll still show up and do his thing, and they'll have a little more versatility with him. Okay, now we need to talk about the ending of the movie. The Punisher is in this movie. Everyone knows the Punisher's in this movie. I thought John Bernthal did a great job. I thought he and Peter have this kind of like cop buddy thing going on where they're each other's, the butt of each other's jokes, each other's foil. It's almost odd coupley to a sense, right? Like, Peter is the don't hurt anybody, and Bernthal is the let's kill everybody and ask questions later. but they work well together. I think they have good chemistry. It was a nice addition. At the end of the movie, again, spoilers. So if you don't want to know, I've warned you. At the end of the movie, Jean, Sadie, finally gets to the answer she's looking for. And she finds out her sister didn't make it because of the experimentations and everything they were doing on her. She, of course, loses it completely, and she possesses like 3/4 of Manhattan. Like, it's a large chunk of the city. Everybody just kind of freezes. And she takes the main bad guy, and the gist of it is that she's got him in this building that she's kind of like blown some of the walls out of, and she's holding him perfectly still, but she's got like all this glass around him ready to, just pierce him. And one thing I didn't like is they didn't really explain her powers. They assumed you knew that, oh, she's a telepath, she can also control objects, which I get. I understand that, but they really focus more on the controlling people as opposed to controlling objects. And then all of a sudden she can just control objects as well, which, again, small thing, not a big deal, but it would have been nice for her. I don't know, like there was some throwback scenes with her sister. Do something there to show that, hey, she can also move stuff, right? If they want to, her or her sister or both, or like her sister teaches her how to do it, something, as opposed to just unleashing it, right? Foreshadow it, I guess is what I'm saying. Just a hair. Give us something. Give us a pinch. So Spider-Man comes in. He's trying to talk her down, and the Punisher is outside of this area. And so he goes and he gets himself a sniper rifle. Not just any sniper rifle. He gets himself a 50 cal sniper rifle. Now, I don't expect everyone knows what a 50 cal is, but just know the slug or the bullet of a 50 cal is enough to just basically like blow something up completely. If you were shot with it, there wouldn't be much left. And so he's going to take her out because that's the Punisher and that's the only way. Peter, Spidey sense, hears this. He knows what's coming. He steps in front of the bullet for her. I know he's Spider-Man. I know he's much more armored than a normal person, but it's still a 50 cal. And he's not Superman. He's not completely indestructible. He's mostly indestructible, but he's not completely indestructible. I feel like they could have used a smaller sniper rifle to not make it so obvious, or they could have explained it a little bit better. But long story short, Sadie Sink, Jean Grey, uses her powers to keep him alive so he does not die. But you don't see the wound, you don't see the hole, and again, it's a 50 cal. It would have just like blown his back in two, probably. Again, suspend disbelief. He's a superhero. It's fine. I get it. But just having seen 50 cal videos of what they do to just anything that they hit, I feel like they should have chosen a different rifle for the Punisher at that point. Anyway, Sadie Sink uses all her power to keep him alive until he's good, well enough to, regenerate on his own or finish healing on his own, and, all is well. The movie ends with Sadie Sink on a bus heading north, or assumedly north to what we're guessing is going to be Professor X's, School for the Gifted. And, Spider-Man is doing Spider-Man things. But there's one last thing we need to talk about. Part of the way through the movie, Spider-Man shows up and hangs out with MJ and Ned. And they're hanging out like they did in Homecoming and in a little bit in Far From Home. They're friends, they're hanging out, they're playing Legos. Peter and Ned quote movies to each other. Like, it's a whole thing. They also make it very apparent. Sadie Sink tells Peter during the movie that MJ has absolutely no recollection of him. None whatsoever. Same with Ned, we have to assume, right? At the end of the movie, Peter walks up to Ned, and mind you, there's a scene where Peter shows up at I guess it's like a housewarming party, or maybe it's just a party at MJ and Ned's, and introduces himself. So there's a little bit of like, they know who he is. They don't know who he is, but they've seen him before. He talks to them a little bit at the party. At the end of the movie, he walks up to Ned and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Ned goes, "Oh," whatever BS name he gave at the party, right? Peter's like, "Yeah." He sticks out his hand and they do their handshake that they've done for years as friends. And Ned's like, "Oh." So ostensibly, it's kind of a end of Inception moment with the spinning top. If you haven't seen Inception, spoiler alert, it's been out long enough. You have no excuse at this point. And you get to infer one way or the other. Does it keep spinning? Does it fall over? In this case, in my mind, why would Ned remember this handshake? Is Doctor Strange's spell broken? What's happening here? I can only bring it together I guess a couple of ways. One is that their friendship is so strong that Ned remembers, right? Like it's somewhere under the haze of the spell that he can remember. Oh, this is my buddy Peter. I know this handshake. The other is that at the end of the movie, Jean Grey freezes everyone, and MJ and Ned are part of that. Part of me wonders, did Jean Grey, Sadie Sink, at some point manipulate Ned's mind to remember, even just a little bit? Which is kind of a cool thing and gives us something to talk about. But what I wonder is, does that mean that her telekinesis powers trump Doctor Strange's magical spell ability? I have no idea. What do you think? Do you think at the end of the movie, did Jean's psychic ability restore Ned's memories to a point? Did it supersede Doctor Strange's spell at the end of No Way Home? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And that basically concludes my review of Spider-Man Brand New Day. I thought it was great. I thought it set up the new stuff that we're going to get after Doomsday and Secret Wars. And I'm looking forward to Doomsday. I was looking forward to Doomsday before, but the fact that they got a win here, I know it's technically a Sony movie and not a Marvel movie, but let's face it, Spider-Man, it's a Marvel movie. Even if they only get 25% of the revenue, I'm sure they're very happy with it, with what it's doing at the box office at this point. But it gives me hope that we don't have superhero fatigue at the box office. We just have to have very good superhero movies to keep people coming back. So thank you all for coming out. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.